Got some homestead maintenance to do today. I bought this frost-free tap at the local junkyard. Bought it used, and it worked for us for quite a while. I pulled it apart before I put it in to everything looked fine in that valve down in the bottom, but something now has come apart down in there. So I'm gonna have to dig it up and see what's going on. This is our tap that we put in out here at the chicken house. So hopefully I can get it fixed. I don't know, you can buy parts for them, but this was an off-brand and our local hardware store didn't have the right parts, so I might end up having to just buy a whole new tap. Finally, the snow in this microclimate here in front of the chicken coop has melted off. We got a long ways to go out here in the pasture. Okay, I evidently had more than one problem. Instead of a valve here, I just had a coupler right there. There's your tap. But I just had a coupler there and it was broke. Had a crack in it. So I thought that that's where one of my leaks was. But after putting it together and turning it back on, I still have another leak. My water's still going somewhere. So my next place to look, I just have a trench going across here over to the greenhouse, and so somewhere right down in here there's a line coming from the house that was an existing line that I hooked into, and so I've got hooked into that other line. I've got a T intersection and I've got water going into the greenhouse, which is fine. I've got water in my greenhouse, but coming out here, I'm thinking it's that joint where I tied into that old line. I'm hoping that that's what the problem is. So I've dug this down a ways. Hopefully you can see it. I dug that trench with the backhoe that I borrowed from a neighbor, and so now I'm using the bobcat so I don't have to go get a backhoe. But you can see I'm going parallel to that trench, and you can see that light colored rock on this left side, and then there's some streaks of darker stuff. That darker stuff is the stuff that was filled back in from the trench, so I know I'm on track. So I'm going to dig right here in that trench down to where I can, with my hands, until I can get to the pipe, because I don't want to get down into the pipe with the bobcat. Okay, homestead maintenance update. This turned into a huge ordeal here, getting this water back to the chicken coop. Anyway, I've got this. That's the frost-free deal. And I had two problems with this situation. That was the piece that was broke there at the frost-free end of things. It went right there. I just put that valve on there because the valve is thicker. I think it might help it to not break next time. So I've got to put these pipes back together and that union back on. That pipe goes under there. And then I had a secondary problem. What I did is I plugged off the pipe going over to the chicken coop, and I still had a water leak. So I had to come over here. This is the pipe that I tied into an old original pipe that came from the house. I tied in here. And so I thought the second problem was probably here where I tied it in, and it turned out not to be. That's about right there under what I'm doing. And so I kept following back until I got to where the water was coming out. There's the old original pipe coming from the house. And I cut out a section of that right there, and that was my problem. I don't know why that broke down there and it hasn't anywhere else. You can see that was just corroded to the point that it finally broke through. So with the way that looks, I may be on borrowed time. I may have to do a whole new pipe going up to the house eventually, but for now I'm going to put it back together. So I'll tie in right there to that pipe, and I'll just run plastic pipe back over here and tie into this stuff that goes over to the chicken coop. So that is the update so far. I'm finally glad to find the problems. Anyway, I dug out this whole thing by hand. I sure would like to have a backhoe on the homestead. I've been watching for used backhoes, even old ones that need a bunch of work, and boy, they want a lot of money for those used backhoes, even if they need some work done to them. So that's going to have to be a future thing. So there's no sense in showing you finishing things up here. This is what's going on, and I will catch you on the next video, and thanks for watching.